What is going on, you guys? Thank you so much for clicking back onto my channel. Today I actually want to talk about clean eating. Now, I want to start off this video by saying that this isn't going to be a bash video of clean eating. I think that there are enough of those videos out there right now, and I want this video to be more informative and for those who may be thinking about the idea of whether clean eating is working for them and maybe having an open mind to exploring other options if you find that it isn't working for you. So all I want to do today is just talk about my perspective of it and why I don't find it to be a good option for me. So firstly, let's actually define what clean eating is. There's actually no objective way to define it. Now, before you click off the video, think about it for a second. What's your definition of clean eating? Some of you may be saying that, well, no processed foods. Okay, great, but did you know that all food is processed to some degree, including organic foods? Maybe you're a vegan or a vegetarian and you're saying not to eat meat or red meat or dairy, or those foods aren't clean. Okay, but maybe you're a bodybuilder and you rely on chicken breasts or lean ground turkey or ground beef or ground chicken, and you're saying but those foods are clean. So you got the vegetarians saying that meats aren't clean and the bodybuilders who are saying that they are clean. So there's an ongoing battle between this. There are people who think that artificial sweeteners aren't good for you and that you should have sugar instead, but then there's other people out there who say that sugar make you fat and that's definitely not clean. Some of you also might be saying that, well, you don't like the added chemicals that is in food. Everything is actually made up of a chemical. So think about that. What to you is clean eating? There's no one way to define it. So when you see people like myself and other people saying quote unquote clean, this is not in a way to be disrespectful to your choices in life, which a lot of people take offense to that. Using the reference quote unquote clean is used just because there's no objective definition of the term. So regardless of your nutritional methods, I believe that the most important one for you is one that you can actually stick to. So if you are able to eat chicken and broccoli 4 times a day for the rest of your life, absolutely, you should do that. That's a sustainable method for you. Majority of people, I haven't found one person who can actually do that. Yeah, they'll do it during the week, but most people will have their cheat meals on the weekend, and a lot of the times these cheat meals will turn into cheat days and can sometimes result in binge eating. I've heard from countless people bragging about how, oh, they binged so hard this weekend and they're glad to be back on track because they didn't feel good afterwards. What a lot of people don't know is that binge eating can actually become an eating disorder. So what is binge eating? Binge eating is eating a very large amount of food within a short period of time. A lot of people have a loss of control while they're eating, and they typically find themselves unable to stop. If you find that you are binge eating, you need to actually rectify this. This is an eating disorder and it is not healthy for you to continue going forward. So even if you think that you can stick to your nutrition program forever, if you find that you are binging, you need to reevaluate what you're doing and find a better alternative. Now, I am not saying that clean eating results in binge eating. A lot of people hear that a lot and they don't realize that correlation doesn't equal causation. I know people who flexible diet who have binged after they are done their active fat loss stage. It happens. I'm not saying that clean eating is the only way that you will be a binge eater. I'm just saying that I see a trend that people who restrict certain foods from themselves are more likely to binge eat when they get their cheat day or cheat meal. So let's move forward and actually define what flexible dieting is. Now, a lot of people think that flexible dieting is eating as much junk as you can while staying within your caloric intake. Well, that's not necessarily the case if you are doing it right. Please don't get me wrong, there are flexible dieters out there who do take it too far and do try to fit as much junk into their diet as they can, but this is not the optimal way to do it. Flexible dieting is simply a way for you to have flexibility and not restricting any foods while achieving your results. So when you go on Instagram and you see flexible dieters, including myself, posting pictures of a donut, maybe some ice cream, some cake, and you automatically assume that that that's all that they are consuming. But it's actually not sexy to post my chicken and my asparagus on Instagram. That's boring as fuck. Who wants to see that? Nobody. So of course I'm gonna post a picture of a donut over a chicken breast. That doesn't mean that's all that I eat and that's all that I consume within my diet. A lot of flexible dieters, they actually focus on consuming about typically maybe 80 to 90% of clean foods into their diet. Last 10-20%, yeah, I'll make some room for some treats. Why? By making room for some treats, it allows you to actually stick to your diet long term. It increases your adherence levels and really helps with your sanity, especially when you're dieting. So for me, I actually track my fiber as well. Why? Because high fiber foods actually have a thermic effect of food and they help increase your satiety, so feeling full. So by having a sufficient amount of fiber, once I hit that prescribed amount, if I have any carbs left over, which I typically do, I'll finish them off with some treats, maybe some corn pops, a brownie, or a cookie, something that'll just really help me adhere to my program long term. Because at the end of the day, a carb is a carb. Yes, they have different effects of how you feel. So for instance, if I have a bowl of corn pops, I'm not gonna feel as full as I would if I had some whole wheat pasta or something, because of the difference in the fiber content in them. So high fibrous foods are going to help keep you full. Low fibrous foods, also known as sugar or simple carbs, is actually not going to keep you as full. So you got to use them to your advantage. So for instance, if I have clients who are coming to me and they're in a reverse dieting phase, typically their carbs are a lot higher than they can handle sometimes, and they're trying to fill up on all of these complex carbs, and actually they're having too much fiber. So I have to tell them to have some more simple carbs like corn pops or cereal or something like that, that's going to help reduce their fiber intake and make them not feel as bloated. So there's definitely some strategies that you can utilize depending on if you are in a caloric surplus or a caloric deficit. Now, as you diet down and your calories get lower, obviously my carbs are going to get lower, and that's not going to allow me to have as many treats as I would like. Now, for long-term sustainability, I'm not talking about 3 months or 6 months. I mean like a year, 2 years, 5 years, maybe 10 years. I have that sustainability, and I'm confident in that with flexible dieting, and that's why I've implemented it into my lifestyle. Because I haven't restricted any foods, I can adhere to this in the long term. So let's now actually compare the two, clean eating versus flexible dieting. If you're trying to diet someone down for a show, they are actually not all that different. The only difference is with clean eating, you're limiting yourself to what? Maybe 6 types of foods? Oats, eggs. Let's see if I can remember them all. Chicken, spaghetti squash, what else? Peanut butter, I'm missing something. Asparagus, rice, so maybe 7-ish foods. But with flexible dieting, you're not restricting any foods. So that's the difference between the two. They're the same in the sense that you are actually getting results because you are controlling somebody's calories. It's not from the foods that you are eating. So by being in a caloric deficit, you are gonna lose weight. So if you're eating 6 types of foods and maybe your coach will take out a little bit of rice, or maybe you'll have a 3-ounce chicken breast versus the 4 the previous week. You're reducing that person's calories, and you are controlling that person's calories to get them stage ready or to get them to lose weight. It doesn't have to be just for bodybuilding. It can be for the average Joe trying to lose weight as well. So you are controlling that person's calories, but still restricting them from certain foods. This restriction is not what's making you lose weight. It's the caloric deficit that your coach or you are in. So with flexible dieting, it's the exact same thing. Only difference, I can have different foods every single day if I want to, as long as I stay within my caloric intake. So if you think that from clean eating and eating certain foods is gonna help allow you to lose weight, you have been misinformed. There are no secret, magical, clean foods that are going to allow you to lose weight. You are simply in a caloric deficit just like me. The only difference is I get to have different foods every single day. I get to pick the foods that I want to eat. I don't have to eat chicken if I don't want to. I'm a bodybuilder and I don't eat meat. How do other bodybuilders do that if it's supposed to be clean for you? So ask yourself that. I know we've been programmed since the beginning to believe that there are good foods and bad foods out there, but there really isn't. To quote Eric Helms, there's no good foods or bad foods. There's only good and bad diets. So ask yourself, what can you stick to for the long term? Do you really want to eat just 6 types of foods the rest of your life? Probably not. Reevaluate things, question things. Don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to learn and to do what works good for you.